So the 2024 Game of the Year nominations have been revealed, and, you know, as it usually goes, people are not happy. People are getting their nipples in a twist.
Oh, here we go.
Cereal bowls are being spilt. And people are using naughty language on internet forums.
No pal world. No pal world. No pal world.
There's a slight difference though with the nominations this year. A couple of days ago, it was revealed by the Game Awards, or, you know, Jeff, that DLCs, remasters, and remakes are now eligible to be nominated for Game of the Year. So, like, everyone looked at this and was like, yeah, Shadow of the Erdtree, right, Jeff? This is why you're announcing this? You want to nominate Shadow of the Erdtree for Elden Ring. You want Elden Ring to win a second Game of the Year, don't you, Jeff? The 6 picks for this year are Astro Bot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor, and Elden Ring's Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. We knew this was coming, and here it is. It's sort of insane to see this, and, you know, as it goes, the reception towards this online is not great. People are not happy that a DLC can be nominated for Game of the Year. Now, just talking about this lineup, I think it is pretty fantastic. This is honestly one of the best Game of the Year lineups I think we've seen in a while. Astro Bot, an absolute masterpiece. Rebirth, absolute masterpiece. Metaphor, absolute masterpiece. Now, looking at Balatro, I have been in the room while my friend has been playing it. I understand. Masterpiece! And Black Myth Wukong, big monkey with a stick, goes on epic quest, Souls-like hack and slash type of thing with some Sekiro influence. Oh, masterpiece! Still yet to get around to it, I'm waiting for the physical release on December 12th. Now here's the thing, Shadow of the Erdtree. Oh. So I don't think it really needs to be said that Elden Ring is a generational video game. From Software cooked with the 12 different secret herbs and spices with that one, dude. The game is incredible. Elden Ring is placed somewhere within my personal top 10 video games of all time. The DLC just adds more to that experience, and it is a beefy DLC. You kind of pay for that, but still, you get about 30 additional hours out of it. And if I were to tell you what I enjoyed the most out of Astro Bot, Rebirth, Metaphor, or Shadow of the Erdtree, what I was most addicted to, what I was most enthralled by, while all of these are incredibly close, yeah, it's Shadow of the Erdtree. However, I went through this year being like, well, okay, I'm pretty sure at this point, and while it is really hard between both Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Astro Bot, it's probably going to be Astro Bot. I never once considered, oh, it's definitely Shadow of the Erdtree, because no one expects a DLC to be nominated for Game of the Year. It's a hard situation because if you look at it, this DLC is longer in length than something like Astro Bot, and its quality is so high. It's practically just more Elden Ring, which is an absolutely good thing because Elden Ring is incredible. That being said, we do have many DLCs releasing on a yearly basis, and because of this, especially considering that a lot of them are of such high quality, I think we should actually have a DLC of the year category. This is what most people are in agreement with as of right now, just considering that there are a ton of studios that put in years of work and effort and passion into developing a video game, and can you imagine your video game losing its chance for a nomination because of a f***ing DLC, dude? That's definitely gotta suck. Like, you can imagine, this person spent 2 years working on something. You've spent like 4 to 5 years working on something. No, everyone likes the thing that the guy made in 2 years. Oh yeah, and that same guy has also won the chicken raffle before. He's already taken home the bacon. Surprisingly, even though this is meant to be a quiet year in gaming before the busy 2025, there's been a lot of great games, new games that have released this year. And so Shadow of the Erdtree is kind of taking up that spot for a potential new game to fill. I can think of one, and that is most definitely Stellar Blade. You robbed Stellar Blade and shipped up from getting the chance. That is unbelievable. But see, this is conflicting. I feel bad for saying that because Shadow of the Erdtree is just so fucking good. I've also seen people saying that for DLC categories, we should consider MMO expansion packs like World of Warcraft, The War Within, or Destiny 2, The Final Shape, Diablo 4, Vessel of Hatred, you know, all of that. But then again, those I think should be considered within the best ongoing game category. Because at its core, those MMO games are an ongoing service. The DLC category should only apply to a game that has already released in its full and is a true additional piece of content that you're making a one-time purchase for. Over the years though, there have been great examples of fantastic game DLCs, and whether or not it's providing more of what already works from a great game or improving the game's experience through the DLC content. Whether it's point A or B, there needs to be some form of recognition towards DLC content, and Shadow of the Erdtree is a prime example of this. This is, without a doubt, the single best piece of DLC content I have ever experienced. And yeah, I feel like From Software definitely needs some form of recognition towards this. I mean, you know, even though they, again, took home the chicken in 2022. People are also not too happy with the mention of remakes and remasters being eligible as well. This is a tricky subject. Absolutely, in no circumstance do I believe that a remaster should ever be eligible for Game of the Year. No way! A remaster is generally the exact same game that has released many years prior, just with enhancements like increased frame rate, resolution, and maybe sometimes some additional content, but at its core, it's still the exact same game. Should not be eligible. However, I do agree that remakes should be eligible for Game of the Year. If we're looking at something like Final Fantasy VII, the Remake trilogy, that is a totally new gaming experience compared to what was offered within the original. Hence, it sort of stands on its own 2 feet as being a brand new video game. It's like the Resident Evil 4 remake. It's still kind of the same experience, but it is refined and enhanced and visually pushed beyond what was available in the original. Another case of something that I believe should be eligible for Game of the Year. I still think to this day we're not really too sure what the difference is between the two. It can sometimes be incredibly confusing, but by no circumstance should a remaster ever be eligible. Basically, with the DLC being nominated for Game of the Year, it means that it is taking up an additional slot where a brand new game that, again, a studio has taken years to develop loses its spot. It's not exactly too fair, and especially considering too that Elden Ring has already won a Game of the Year award. So what, a game can now win 2 GOTY awards? What? I mean, Miyazaki must be pretty thrilled, right? That's a pretty big honor. I don't think we've ever seen a situation like this, because yeah, this is the first time a DLC has been put forward for a Game of the Year nomination. However, the talent for this year is tough. I can understand why literally all of these games are sitting here. Shadow of the Erdtree would absolutely be my Game of the Year if it was the standalone release or a mini sequel to Elden Ring. Absolutely. But because I know it's a DLC where Elden Ring, the base game, is required in order to access it, I just can't look at it and be like, yeah, this is the Game of the Year. It's probably the best gaming experience I've had this year, but I can't sit here and be like, yeah, it's Game of the Year. It just feels morally ugh. There are some people, and I think this is more of the minority, saying that, well, it's still a gaming experience, so like, it is a game technically. I mean, yeah, it is a game technically, but it's not a new standalone release. You still required the base game. Like, it's a fucking DLC! I'm rooting for all of these games, honestly. Especially Astrobot, 7 Rebirth, and Metaphor. These are my top 3 games of 2024, without a doubt. I think my Game of the Year, though, and I've been mentioning this, it's so hard between 7 Rebirth and Astrobot, but I'm leaning a little bit more towards Astrobot. The reception towards this, though, is predominantly negative. A lot of people are not on board with this. I don't think it's going to be a situation where Jeff pulls Shadow of the Erdtree, but we can only hope that because of this negative reception, that this won't be a continued thing, and that rather the Game Awards will create a DLC specific category. However, guys, let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below towards this incredibly interesting and, in all honesty, a bit of a dumb move. Be sure to subscribe to the channel to keep up with everything going on here. Check out my other garbage social media platforms. As always, a big thank you to my wonderful turkey-tastic patrons. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and we'll talk real soon.